Welcome. Today we have a class with the intention of mindful action. Mindful action. If you'd like to pause the video for a moment and gather any props, today we'll be using one blanket or towel, 2 blocks, or you could use books, and I have 2 smaller pillows. I'm sitting up on a block right at this moment. You could always use a folded blanket as well here. And I have my legs crossed, one heel in front of the other. Also, just crossing the legs could work, or if that feels uncomfortable to you, you could take the legs out long or out wide, and you can also adapt this practice to use a chair as well. Good, so wherever you are, find the seat that works best for you, something that's just not that distracting, something that you can settle into. Bring your hands down to your thighs and close your eyes. Listen to the sound of your breath, maybe forming a slight constriction at your throat. Ujjayi pranayama. Listen to that sound that you're making. Begin to dig deep into your own well, maybe finding the limits of your breath, or maybe enjoying a more shallow breath. So explore your breath without really changing it much here at the beginning. And as you explore this breath, grow long through your spine. Press the crown of the head up high and the sits bones down low. Draw your navel in slightly. Soften through the shoulders, releasing the shoulder blades down your back body. Soften through your arms. Feel the warmth of your hands touching your thighs. And then all together, let's deepen the breath with an exhale. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue breathing in and out at your own slow and regulated pace. And again, setting our intention as mindful action. Mindful action. Maybe the opposite would be impulse and reaction. When you're ready, bring your hands to heart center. And we'll begin the moving practice with one single Om. All together, we'll find an exhale. Inhale for Om. Release your hands to your thighs, drop your chin down towards the chest, let all the air out, stretch out the back of your neck. Sweep the right ear over to your right shoulder and pause here. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder, pause here. Exhale, chin to chest. Gently sway side to side, stretching out the side edges and the back of your neck. And then float the head back up. Take the arms out wide, palms face forward. Inhale, arms float up to the sky. Exhale, arms float down. Inhale, arms float up. Exhale, arms float down. Inhale, arms float up. Exhale, arms float down. Inhale, arms float up. Interlace your fingers, spin the palms up towards the sky, pressing through your fingers and your wrists, and then stretch out through your side bodies by swaying side to side. Bring your arms back up and slowly float the hands back down. Let's make our way into a tabletop. So come to hands and knees. Knees underneath your hips, wrist creases underneath your shoulders. Fan your fingers wide. Drop the belly down, gaze forward. Maybe gaze up. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, up for cow. Exhale, round for cat. Continue moving back and forth here. Linking this movement with your breath. Good. One more rounded cat spine. Let all the air out. And come back into a neutral tabletop. Child's pose. Big toes together, knees out wide. Shift your hips back. Reach your arms forward. Forehead towards the floor. Good. Stay here for a few breaths. Maybe revisit your intention of mindful action. Notice if you feel a reaction or an impulse to move, and just kind of watch that. So there's nothing wrong with having those sensations. Let's just today put an emphasis on whether it's an impulse that is a necessity or it's just something that's coming up. You're welcome to stay here, or if downward dog is part of your practice, you could tuck your toes under, lift your hips up and back, and find down dog. Good. Some alignment cues for down dog. Fan your fingers wide. Press the palms firmly into the mat. Tuck your chin slightly towards the chest to lengthen the back of your neck. Lift your hips up high. If you feel the low back starting to round, you could bend the knees. And if you like to wake up the backs of the legs, you might begin to pedal the feet out side to side, walking your dog.
Good. Gaze forward, bend your knees, and float your way to the front of the mat. Bring your two big toes together. Chin tucks, crown of the head drops down. Reach towards or to the floor. If you're not reaching the floor, you might bring the floor to you by adding blocks or books or pillows underneath your hands. Good. Find one more exhale here. Let it go. Inhale, arms sweep out, up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins or props. Gaze either straight down or you could gaze forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms reach out, up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins, extend the spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms reach out, up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's explore tree pose next. So finding your standing balance pose, you might decide to step to the front of your mat. I'm going to step back so you can see the top of my head. If you feel like you won't be able to do this without a prop, you might walk over to a wall or something stable and hold on. Good, so we'll bring our two big toes together. We're bringing the hands to heart center and gazing out, finding one point of focus on the floor, the drishti point. So let this be where your gaze is locked. Pause here. Then start to bend your right knee and turn it out to the side. Good, so you could take this pose at the inner ankle, the inner shin, or the inner thigh, just not pressed against your knee. Grow tall through your spine. When you're ready, lift your arms up. You could separate the hands and bring the thumb and pointer fingers together. Notice some micro movements of your standing foot. So this is a good reaction. This is a healthy reaction here. We want to encourage these muscles in the ankle and foot to react in a way that keeps us standing. Good. Bring a calmness to the pose. Maybe a softening of the jaw or cheeks. Good. So from here we're going to try to keep from slamming that bent leg down. So a very slow exhale. Bring your hands to heart center, still keeping your leg bent. And then slowly bring your two big toes together. So think of this transition as being part of the pose. So an easy let down here. Good, then bring your two big toes back together. Find your point of focus if you had moved your gaze. Lock it in. Feel what you feel. I know, so don't move yet. Just notice maybe there's an impulse to move. Good, maybe one foot or one leg feels different than the other. Let's try to balance that out. So bend your left knee. Turn it out to the side, and you can either choose the inner ankle, the inner shin, or the inner thigh. you're ready, lift your arms up. Separate your hands and bring your thumb and pointer fingers together. Keep your gaze on that drishti point. Notice all of the micro movements in your standing foot, this positive reaction. Bring a sense of calm to your stance, to the posture. Maybe softening the jaw. Maybe finding a little more length through your spine. And then slowly with your next exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Keep your knee bent for a moment. And thinking of this as an extension of the posture, begin to bring your two big toes back together nice and slow. Arms by your side, palms turn forward slightly. Even weight in your 2 feet, close your eyes and stretch up tall through the crown of the head. Find your mountain pose. Good. When you're ready, make your way down to your first yin pose, which will be a child's pose. So we'll revisit the child's pose. But this time you might add in some props. So that towel or blanket you have, you might place that underneath your knees. And you could even add a pillow underneath the forehead or tummy. It might even feel nice to have some padding between your hips and your heels. Good. Begin to settle in. Good. Stay with the pose. Allow your body to release some tension, to find some ease. Notice any signals that you're getting where you would like to move around. So you can move around in the yin postures a little bit. You can move the head and shoulders. You could come out of the pose and gently move around and then slowly make your way back into the pose. There's really not a ton of rules, or there's no like strict guideline that says you need to stay in that pose. So do what you can when you can. But make each movement, each decision, a mindful action. Bring your awareness into some real-time sensations, such as the way the air feels as it touches your skin,
Maybe you can even notice the beating of your own heart. Take a few more breaths in child's pose. And when you're ready, slowly press your way back into a tabletop. And we can tap out the toes here. Maybe shake the hips out side to side. So we're taking some rebounding movements. I like to take a lot of time in between the poses for rebound. And I'll give you suggestions, but note that you are welcome to move in any way that feels comfortable, good, right. So mindful action, a mindful reaction to the long held pose. If down dog is part of your practice, that might feel especially nice. And when you're ready, we are going to set up for dragon pose next. So with dragon, I like to use some blocks. It could be that you use no blocks if you don't have them. Some books or the pillows could probably work here as well. So draw your right foot to the front of your mat. Place it at the front. And you want your right knee to be either right above your right ankle or slightly back behind it. So pulling back towards your torso. And then think about the hips squaring so that one hip isn't kind of higher than the other or out to the side. Start to gaze forward about 4 feet, pressing the heart forward. Settle in. So this is essentially a low lunge, and we'll take a few different versions of this lunge. Note, if you'd like to come out of the pose, you could shift the hips back for a second to kind of shake the hips around. You can move gently in and out of the posture as you need to. Good, so you could stay here, or if you'd like to come into a balance pose within this pose, you could bring your hands to heart center. So you could lift up, still keeping your gaze locked on that point of focus. You might really start to feel it in this left hip flexor. One more inhale here. Exhale, bring your hands down to either the floor or to your blocks.
You might drop the head here, stretching out the back of the neck. Maybe moving into your pose with a little more depth. One more exhale here. Shift your hips back, straighten your front right leg, and start to fold over your right leg. So we use this as a rebounding movement. Flow the hips back and forth. Inhale, press the hips forward, bend the knee, gaze forward or up. Exhale, shift it back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. Move at your own pace, back and forth. When you're ready, you might slide that right knee back to meet the left. You could take a child's pose here. You could take a down dog. I'm going to sit back on my heels in hero's pose, interlace the fingers, and find a shoulder stretch by straightening the elbows and pointing my knuckles down. Notice the feeling tone of both sides of your body. So you might feel a difference between right and left. Let's explore the opposite side. So come back to this modified tabletop. Maybe your hands are on some props. Draw your left knee forward and start to plant that left foot to the front of your mat. Shift your hips slightly forward. Keep that left knee right above your left ankle as you draw your heart forward, maybe gazing out at that point of focus, your drishti point. Good, settle in here. Find some real-time experience. It might be the way the air is touching your skin. It might be the connection of the sound of your breath that you're making as it comes in and out. It might be your points of contact, so things you're touching. Perhaps there's some sounds around you. You could stay here, or you could come into a balance pose, bringing your hands to heart center. Good, so you can kind of settle into what balance works for you best. I feel as though when my hip is right above my grounded knee, that gives me a very good sense of balance. And then as I feel more comfortable, I typically move a little deeper into the stretch, finding a deeper upper quad stretch on, right now it's the right side. Good. To hold your balance, it's helpful to continue to gaze at that point of focus.
Maybe find something to soften. Good. Notice your mindful reactions. Notice any sense of impulse. Is there a way to override impulse? Does it have something to do with a pause or breath? You could stay here, or you could bring your hands back down to the floor or your props. Good, so shifting the hips slightly forward, still keeping that left knee above your left ankle, but this time you might even drop the head, stretching out the back of the neck. Find one more exhale here. Shift the hips back, fold over an extended left leg. Good. Feel the stretch behind the back of the left leg. And then with your next inhale, float the hips forward. And then exhale and float the hips back. Begin to move back and forth here in your own unique rhythm, your own unique way. And when you're ready, if you'd like to take a few more movements for rebound, you can bring your left knee back to meet your right. You might shake the hips a little side to side. It could feel nice to circle the hips around in one direction. When you move through this circular tabletop, you kind of warm up the wrists as well. If you are taking those circular movements, you could pause and reverse those circles. And if you like, you can take another child's pose or down dog here. I might move into a forearm down dog to explore a strength pose. Bring the knees back down to the floor. Let's go ahead and move into our caterpillar pose. So caterpillar is a straight-legged forward fold. You could sit up high on a folded towel or blanket and extend the legs out in front.
And we could have some props like pillows or blocks or books around. Good. So the hip crests, you might feel around for them, are above your sits bones, or we're working towards placing them so that the tilt of the pelvis starts out in even or neutral. Good, so press down through the sits bones. You might even feel behind the low back, and we're looking for a low back without a round, so something that's flat and even. If you feel like you're rounding back here, place your hands behind you, lift and lead with the heart, and perhaps this is where your pose is today. If you'd like to move forward, let's all reach our arms into the air. Exhale, fold forward. And you could do this pose with no props at all, or you might reach out for your pillows or your blocks and find a place to rest the forehead. Find one more exhale here. And as you inhale, slowly make your way back up to seated. You might pause here, sensing those small reactions. Gaining different perspective. And when you're ready to move, you could take any props off to the side. You might just tuck the knees in and hug the knees in. Maybe gently moving a little side to side. And if you like, you could bring your hands behind your back. Widen your feet out and windshield wiper the knees side to side. Good, so this, for me, feels really good, nice and slow. So kind of
finding that the depth of the movement and then staying there for a moment. Finding the pause and taking the breath. And then moving again. And this also feels pretty nice to bring the forearms down, lifting the legs up, and then moving side to side, massaging the low back. Good. So sending some nurturing movements into the body. And when you're ready, slide off of your blanket. And we'll go ahead and set up for a restorative version of fish pose. So if you like to take fish pose with no props, you're welcome to do so. And I'll give you 2 examples of a way you can take fish today. So if you have blocks, you could take your block on the middle setting and one block on the tall setting. And this could be your pose. So the first block goes across the shoulder blades. And the second block goes behind the back of the head. So see, heart opener, arms are out wide. There's a release in the upper body. And you might stretch the legs out long. If you don't have blocks, you can easily adapt this pose with a blanket or a towel. So just taking a firm piece of fabric and then rolling it up. So we're trying to make a roll where the diameter is about 2 or 3 inches. So something like so. And then that will be where your shoulder blades go. And the back of the head can rest on the floor or on a pillow. So perhaps you bring the shoulder blades to your roll, your blanket or towel roll. You extend the arms out wide, maybe tuck a small pillow behind the back of your head. If you feel like you want a little bit more of a back bend, you could take that pillow away. Good. Begin to close your eyes and melt into this new shape. Imagine softening through your jaw, melting the throat, softening the front of your torso, letting the rib cage lift and lower. Melting the hips down, softening through the legs.
mind. One more big breath here. Begin to place your hands by your side, tuck your chin, gaze forward, and then press your hands into the mat and lift your way back up. Good. Let's find a comfortable cross-legged seat. And instead of moving in this rebound, let's pause here in a sort of seated meditation. Noticing gentle reactions, feeling what you feel. And on your next inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Reach up. Exhale, drop the arms over to the right, seated twist. Inhale, arms lift up. Exhale, arms drop over to the left, seated twist. Move back and forth here a few more times. So just finding your own pace as you twist side to side, really exploring the depth of your twist. So exploring that pause. It might even be the pause between your exhale and your inhale. Find that spaciousness there. And when you're ready, bring your hands back down. Good. So we'll make it to final Savasana. And today I'd like to offer the Restorative Goddess option. So if you like, you could have some pillows or blocks underneath your knees. And you can bring the soles of your feet together, dropping the legs out wide, maybe covering up with your blanket. Or if you don't need or want a blanket, you might fold it up so that it causes a slight back bend. So I have a long rectangle fold. And if you lean back with that, you'll notice that the shoulder blades kind of drift down towards the floor, the outer shoulder blades, and that the inner front rib cage has a chance to open again. Good. So maybe you have two blankets and you want to cover up with a blanket as well. Feel the soles of your feet touching. Eyes can close. If you like, you could place one hand on your low belly and one hand on your low ribs, following your pattern of breathing. Notice the waves of breath move in and out. Relax your body. Relax your mind. Relax your body. Relax your mind. Relax. Relax. Relax.
Bringing your awareness back into your breath. Take pause here. Let that intention float back up to the surface. And before we move, let's take a breathing exercise here. A tension reliever. We'll do 3 deep inhales with 3 loud, audible exhales through the mouth. All together, we'll find an exhale. Inhale, fill the lungs bottom to top and hold. Loud, audible exhale. Inhale, fill the lungs bottom to top and hold. Loud, audible exhale. Inhale, fill the lungs bottom to top and hold. Loud, audible exhale. And you might begin to stretch your arms overhead. You might start to straighten the legs. Find a full body stretch. And then roll off to your right side and gently press your way back up to seated. Good. Let's find a comfortable seat. Maybe it's that cross-legged seat from the beginning of class. If you like to sit in hero's pose, you can either sit back on the heels or build a structure with a block or 2 underneath the hips. And then bringing your hands down to your thighs, close your eyes. Okay, I have a poem here for the end of class. And some of you have heard this before. It's a poem that my grandmother sent to me after I went to yoga school, because she took a yoga class for many years, and whoever her yoga teacher was gave her this poem, and you can find it pretty accessibly. There's not an author per se, but it's lovely. Look to this day, for this is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all of the realities and truths of existence, the joy of growth, the splendor of action, and the glory of power. For yesterday is but a memory, and tomorrow only a vision. But today well lived makes every yesterday a memory of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well to this day. When you're ready, bring your hands to heart center. We'll end today's practice with one single Om. All together, let's find an exhale. Inhale for Om. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure and a joy to continue to practice yoga with everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.